sound absorbed by velvet walls, conversations spoken in low, controlled tones, the scent of aged whiskey and polished wood hanging in the air. Cassian sat at the head of the table, jacket off, sleeves rolled to his forearms. His watch glinted when he moved his hand, sunlight catching on polished steel. 3 men sat across from him, waiting for his answer. They had been negotiating for 2 hours. Territory, supply routes, logistics. A familiar conversation that usually required nothing more than Cassian's patience and the right pressure applied at the right moment. He had listened, calculated, stripped their arrogance slowly, quietly. He could have finished this in another 5 minutes. Then his phone rang. He almost ignored it. No one called him during meetings unless something was wrong. His men knew that. His second-in-command knew that. There were protocols for emergencies. This number was only used when protocols failed. He lifted the phone. Moretti. The voice on the other end was calm, rehearsed, professional. Someone who spoke with a kind of soft efficiency that suggested bad news was common in their line of work. Mr. Moretti, this is St. Luke's Medical Center. I'm calling regarding a 1-year-old child for whom you were listed as next of kin. The words did not register at first. They floated there, suspended, impossible. Cassian did not breathe. A what? His voice did not rise. It simply sharpened. A 1-year-old child. The mother was brought in following a vehicle accident earlier today. She is currently undergoing surgery. You were listed as the secondary emergency contact. The room around him receded. The table, the men, the whiskey, the polished wood, all of it faded to a distant hum. He stood without realizing he had moved. What is the child's name? His voice sounded unfamiliar, even to himself. A small pause. Paper rustling. A keyboard click. Sophia Bennett. Sophia Bennett. A last name like a door slamming shut. Aria. He closed his eyes. For one moment, just one, something broke open inside him. Something he had locked away so deeply that even his blood no longer dared to remember it. Aria. Her laugh, her hands, the way she used to touch him like he was something human. The day she walked out. The silence she left behind. Bennett, he repeated, the word tasting like smoke, like memory, like losing something twice. The mother. Confirm her name. Aria Bennett. Yes, sir. She is still in surgery. The child is stable but needs immediate guardian consent for... Cassian didn't wait to hear the rest. The chair behind him scraped softly as it rolled backward, knocked by his knee. One of the men across the table started to speak. Cassian. He didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge him, didn't excuse himself, didn't explain. He simply walked out. Not fast, not rushed, controlled, silent. Each step a blade pressed into the earth. Outside, the city moved around him. Cars passing, wind shifting, sunlight glinting off glass. Ordinary. Unaware. His driver stood the moment he saw him, opening the door before being asked. St. Luke's, Cassian said. The car door shut. The engine roared to life. Cassian stared straight ahead, jaw locked so tightly that muscle jumped beneath his skin. A child. A daughter Aria had raised alone. For 15 months. Without him. He didn't feel the pain yet. That would come later. For now, only one thought existed. Pure and sharp and final. He was going to her. And this time, she wasn't walking away. The ride to the hospital felt like a tunnel with no air cars past. Lights blurred, but Cassian did not blink. He did not breathe fully. He simply existed inside the storm that had opened in his chest. The hospital doors slid open and the smell hit him, sterile cold, real the world of emergencies and endings. A nurse, at the desk, looked up ready to ask routine questions. But something in Cassian's face made her swallow her words. I was called. he said, his voice low. Controlled, the kind of controlled that comes right before something breaks. I am here for Arya, Bennett, and the child. The nurse nodded quickly, as if his presence rewrote the rules of the building. She led him down a hallway printed in fluorescent white where every footstep sounded like a countdown. In a room behind glass sat a small child. She was tiny, too tiny, wrapped in a pale blanket, a hospital band around her ankle, dark hair curling at her temples. Eyes wide and quiet, watching the world with the kind of silence that comes from learning too young that the world can be taken. Cassian stopped. His body refused to move forward. Not from fear, but from impact, like being struck by something invisible and absolute. The nurse spoke softly. Her tone changed as if she already knew. She has been saying Mama, but she calmed when we said your name. She does not know you, but she knows your voice. Cassian stepped closer, slow as if approaching something sacred, something fragile, something that belonged to him in a way he could not explain. Or deny Sophia. The name crossed his mind like a whisper, like a flame lighting in a dark room. Her eyes lifted, met his, and in that single look the world remade itself. She had his eyes, the same shape, the same depth, the same unspoken fire. A life born from something real, something that had never truly died. His hand lifted, hesitated, hovered, then touched the glass on the other side. Her small hand lifted too, pressing to the same place, tiny fingers against invisible barriere. A connection unshakable, unavoidable, undeniable. A doctor approached, clipboard in hand, voice steady. Trained for moments like this. Arya Bennett is still in surgery. We are trying to control the internal bleeding. She lost a great deal of blood before she arrived. We will update you as soon as we can. Cassian heard every word. And yet his eyes never left Sophia. The doctor continued speaking procedures, risk statistics, the language of life balanced on medical skill. But all Cassian heard was this. She might not wake up, and if she does, the world she tried to escape will be waiting. The world. He looked at Sophia, then at the hallway leading to the surgical wing. The storm inside him sharpened. Focused became something lethal. He would not lose Arya. He would not lose this child. Not to fate, not to circumstance, not to the world he had built, not to anyone. He had lost once. He would not lose again. Time moved strangely in hospitals, like it was stretched thin and pulled tight. Every second felt too long, every sound too loud. Sophia had fallen asleep against the nurse's shoulder. Her tiny fingers curled her breath. Steady, fragile, precious. Cassian stood there, hands at his sides, jaw clenched, as silent as a held blade. He was a man used to control, used to directing outcomes, used to deciding the fate of others. But here in this white hallway with the echo of machines and whispered urgency, he was powerless until the door slid open. Two of his men entered, breathing hard coats. Wet from the rain outside, their expressions, sharp, watchful, ready. We found the car. They said the one that hit her, the one that drove her off. The road. Cassian turned just enough to look at them. Go on, it was not an accident. The nurse holding Sophia stiffened. The doctor beside her went very still. Someone had wanted Arya off the road. Someone had waited, someone had timed it. Cassian did not react outwardly. No raised voice. No threat, just stillness. Cold focused. The kind of stillness that meant war. Who knows she is still alive? He asked. No one. His men replied. We contained information before it. Spread news outlets. Believe it was weather-related. We paid the paramedics, no reports. Mention her name or identity. Good. His gaze moved back to Sophia, her small face pressed to the nurse's shoulder, asleep unaware. But he saw everything Nawaria had been running, not from him, but from the danger connected to him. The danger that now had found her anyway. The doctor cleared his throat, trying to pierce the tension. Mr. Moretti, there is something else you need to know. We have been monitoring the child. She is stable, but we ran routine tests. We discovered she has your blood type. A rare match, and Cassian did not need to hear more. The blood in his veins already answered. "She is mine," he said. Not a question. A truth spoken from the marrow of his bones. Doctor nodded quietly. Yes. Silence heavier than grief settled across the room. 1 year, 1 year. Without knowing 1 year, his daughter breathed and grew and lived without him. 1 year he could never get back. Ridge rose, not loud but deep controlled, like fire behind stone. "Prepare my daughter for transfer." The nurse blinked, confused transfer to where home Cassian said the word. Like a Vouser area is still in surgery. She cannot travel. Cassian looked at the surgical doors behind them. The woman he once loved was fighting to stay in this world. He spoke quietly, but his voice carried the weight of a man who had made empires. "Neely, I'm not leaving her, and I am not letting anyone else near them. Not now. Not ever." The nurse hesitated. "Sophia?" Still, warm against her shoulder, Cassian stepped closer, slow, gentle hands, steady. He lifted his daughter for the first time. Her small body settled against his chest as if she had always belonged there, as if she had known him before memory itself. His eyes closed in that moment. Every past decision, every violent choice, every night spent in cold silence, every scar, every sin. All of it led here. He looked toward the surgical wing area. "You will wake up," he whispered, his voice breaking only where no one could. "See, you will wake up, and I will not fail you again." The hours after the surgery dragged like chains across stone, every minute scraped against the bone of patience. Every tick of the clock sounded like a threat. Cassian sat with Sophia in his lap, his hand supporting her small back, her cheek resting over his heartbeat, the rise and fall of her breath matching his. She slept easily, trusting him without knowing why. The nurse had offered to take her. He had not responded. She had understood. His men guarded every exit, every hallway, every stairwell. No one entered this floor without being seen. No one left without being remembered, and still it was not enough. Not for him. The surgical doors finally opened. A surgeon stepped out. Mask-lowered eyes. Tired, Cassian rose swift, silent. Sophia held securely, against him. "How is she?" The doctor exhaled slowly, as if choosing the right words carefully. "Precisely. She survived the surgery. She lost a dangerous amount of blood, but we were able to stabilize her." Cassian's heart struck his chest once hard, but... Doctor continued, "She has been under immense stress for a very long time. Her body is exhausted. Her adrenaline has been compensating for months. Once she wakes, she may be confused, disoriented, and she will need care time. And support." Cassian nodded, once understanding more than the doctor could know. "May I see her?" he asked. Not demanded. Asked, the doctor blinked, caught off guard. "Yes. Just one at a time, she is still unconscious." The nurse reached out to take Sophia. Cassian hesitated for a breath. Sophia stirred small, warm, softer fingers, found the fabric of his shirt gripping, holding, as if she already knew she should not let go. He did not give her up. "I will hold her." The nurse nodded. Something in her expression. "Gentled room 304. She said softly. They walked with him, but gave him space as if the hallway belonged to him. Nawaria lay in the bed, pale, still a line of bruises along her collarbone. Her hair tangled her, breathing shallow but steady. Cassian stopped at the foot of the bed, his body locked, as if moving closer might shatter the world. Sophia sensed something, her head lifted. She looked at her mother, eyes wide, quiet, recognizing. Cassian stepped forward slow. He lowered himself to the chair, then leaned over, bringing Sophia close area. He spoke, her name like it was broken glass. Fragile, dangerous, holy, you hear me, you are not allowed to leave, no anger. No command, just truth. I know why you ran. The room was so still. Even the machines seemed to listen. I know what my world cost you. What it could have cost her. His hand trembled, the first crack in his armor. You protected her from me, from all of it. Sophia made a small sound soft like a sigh. Her tiny hand stretched out, touching Arya's arm, and Arya breathed deeper as if that small touch was a lifeline across the dark. Cassian lowered his forehead to Arya's hand, his daughter between them, a thread connecting all three, unbreakable now that it had formed. He whispered, voice. Raw, I will protect you both now. I swear it, no matter who comes, no matter who tries, no matter what it takes. Sophia's small fingers curled into his shirt again, anchoring him to the promise. The door opened quietly behind them. His second-in-command entered, eyes sharp, jaw tight. Boss, we found something. Cassian looked up, slow, cold. What? Someone leaked her location, and they are not done. The hospital suddenly felt smaller, more vulnerable. Walls too, thin doors too open. Cassian stood. Sophia held securely in his arms. His voice was no longer soft. Lock down the building. No one enters. No one leaves. No one touches them. The war was already here, and Cassian Moretti was done, being passive. Night pressed against the hospital windows, heavy and thick like something alive. Rain streaked the glass in long, slow movements, a kind of quiet warning the building was in lockdown now. Security guards who thought they understood danger stood straighter when Cassian passed. They did not understand. Not really. His presence was not protection. It was a storm waiting for something to strike. Sophia slept against his chest, her small breaths warm, steady, anchoring him. Her tiny heartbeat against his ribs was the only thing keeping the world from splitting open. Arya still lay unconscious, machines humming beside her like distant thunder. Her skin pale against the white sheets, her body too still, like she was balancing at the edge of something he could not reach and refused to accept. Cassian's second-in-command spoke in low tones, no raised voices, no panic but urgency. Coiled in every word, the car that hit her was registered under a false identity. But the face we traced, the face a hired runner tied to the Verona syndicate. Cassian did not react outwardly. He simply adjusted Sophia in his arms. Something ancient moved in him, a shadow, taking shape, a memory rising, a promise of violence without noise. They want leverage, the second-in-command continued. They want to pull you into their territory, force you to step outside your structure. If they get the child, if they get the mother. He did not finish. He did not need to. Cassian looked toward Arya. Her hair spilled across the pillow, her wrist wrapped in medical tape, her breathing faint but present, alive. Barely a nurse stepped in to check her vitals. She hesitated when she saw Cassian's expression. There are chairs in the waiting room, she whispered gently. You can rest. Cassian lifted his eyes. Rest. The word did not exist for him anymore. His voice was quiet, but the kind of quiet that carried like thunder reaching across mountains. Bring another blanket for the child. The nurse nodded, returned moments later, placed a soft, pale blanket across Sophia's small back. Her gaze lingered, sad, understanding something without being told she loves her. Mother, she said softly. She cries for her. Sometimes in her sleep. She reaches out as if she is searching for someone who left the room too soon. Cassian closed his eyes. Something inside him twisted sharp. Deep when the nurse left, the rain grew louder, drumming against the windows like fists. Cassian spoke without turning his head. Prepare transport, secure exit routes, clear the upper floors, and get me every detail on who signed the hit order. His second-in-command nodded once when Don. Cassian answered. The hospital is exposed. We move them somewhere. No one approaches without permission. His man hesitated. There is only one place that's secure. Cassian finally looked at him. His eyes were no longer human calm. They were something older. Something forged in loyalty and threat, and bone-deep resolve. Home. The word held weight, a promise, a warning, a vow. His estate was a fortress, a world of walls. Cameras armed loyalty, a place Arya once fled, fearing suffocation. Now it was the only place she could survive. Sophia stirred softly, her eyelashes fluttering. She nestled closer to Cassian's chest. Safe without knowing why, Arya, he whispered to the woman unconscious in the bed, his voice a quiet fracture. You ran from my world to protect her. But now, my world is the only thing that keeps her breathing. The lights flickered just once, almost unnoticeable. But Cassian noticed always the war had already touched the walls, and dawn was still hours away. Dawn came slow, the kind of gray light that makes the world look unfinished. The rain had stopped, but the air still carried it heavy, waiting. Cassian held Sophia as the hospital room shifted around him, nurses changing shifts, machines quietly beeping. The world, pretending it was normal area, still slept, her breathing steady, but distant, as if she was listening from very far away. Cassian spoke very little, but every order he gave moved like a blade through silence. 3 black cars pulled up to the emergency entrance, unmarked, shielded each one, driven by men who would step into gunfire without asking. Why, his second-in-command, stood by the window, eyes scanning the street. Jaw locked. They will try to intercept en route, he said. We cut through the river tunnel and switch vehicles at the service lot. Cassian nodded once he could feel the storm forming across the city. Someone had made a mistake when they touched what was. His Sophia was awake now, blinking against the morning light. Her fingers curled into the collar of his shirt. Soft trusting, she did not cry. She simply watched him, as if she already knew the world had teeth. A nurse entered quietly, her hands gentle, her voice soft. We need to move her carefully. She is still weak. Cassian stepped aside, but he did not put Sophia down. His arm tightened, protective, instinctive, undisputed. They moved Arya to a rolling stretcher wrapped in clean blankets, still unconscious, still suspended in that quiet space between staying and leaving a space. Cassian refused to let her choose alone. When they reached the elevator, the doors slid open, and a man was there too, calm too. Still eyes that did not belong in a hospital. Cassian's men reacted first. Guns drawn in silence. No sound. No warning. The man lifted his hands, but not in surrender. In recognition. A message, he said, voice flat, empty. Cassian tilted his head. Cold waiting. The man continued. She was supposed to die, not the child that was Mercy. The hallway froze, time tightened. Even the air held still. Cassian responded with nothing but a slow breath. One that came from the darkest part of him, the part that raised empires and buried kings. She spoke quietly, Sophia's ear pressed to his heartbeat, his voice steady, controlled, terrifying. Tell your employers that Mercy has left this world. His men moved fast, efficient. The man was gone before the elevator doors even closed. No shouting, no blood on the floor. No chaos, just removal. The nurse was shaking her breath short, but Cassian did not look at her. His eyes were fixed on Arya's still form. She had been hunted for, loving him for leaving him, for carrying his child. He lifted Sophia higher, her cheek against his jaw, her small hands gripping trust into his skin. The vehicles waited. The world outside was waking up, coffee traffic routine. They rolled Arya through those doors as if they were carrying something sacred, something irreplaceable, something that could break everything if lost. Cassian stepped into the car, Sophia secure in his arms, his men surrounding them like a moving wall. The doors shut. The engines started. No one spoke. The city had taken something from him once. It would not happen again. The convoy moved like a shadow through the waking city. No sirens, no headlights, just black glass and steel slipping between traffic like a slow heartbeat. Sophia rested against Cassian's chest, her eyes open now, watching the world pass. Quiet, too quiet for a child, as if she sensed the danger that shaped the air around her. Arya lay, behind them in the secured medical vehicle monitors, steady oxygen flowing her body, fighting its way back toward the world. Cassian did not look away from the road ahead, even though he was not the one driving. Even though he knew every route, every alley, every blind spot, he felt it. The pursuit before the men in the front car spoke a word. "Boss, there are 2 vehicles tailing unmarked. They had been expected." Cassian shifted Sophia, one hand supporting her back. His other hand reached to the seat beside him, a small pistol. Silent, black, unremarkable, except for the cold certainty in it. His second in command spoke through the radio shift formation. "Do not engage unless ordered." The convoy tightened, weaving through lanes, calm, controlled like wolves adjusting. To the presence of another predator, Sophia made a small sound. Cassian looked down her eyes. So familiar, so impossibly gentle. He touched her cheek. Light, reassuring, "You are safe." The words sounded foreign in his own mouth. Foreign because they were not. A threat. Not a command, but a promise. One of the trailing cars accelerated the engine, growled. The vehicle swerved forward, trying to close the gap. Cassian's jaw tightened, his voice low-measured. Now the lead car braked hard, forcing the trailing vehicle to reveal itself. The second car behind it tried to flank, failed. Another vehicle appeared from a side street. Cassian's one of his hidden reserves. A silent hunter waiting for the right moment. The attacker vehicles were boxed. Clean, simple, inevitable. Do not kill them, Cassian said. Not yet. The convoy continued leaving behind. Only confusion, metal and fear. The city faded concrete, turning to trees, roads turning to private driveways, until finally a house came into view. Not a house, a fortress wearing the shape of a homestone wall's iron gates. Watchful silence. The gates opened before the cars even slowed. No hesitation, no questions. Inside the grounds were quiet, still controlled. The engine stopped. Cassian stepped out, Sophia in his arms. Her small hand, clutching his shirt, her head resting under his chin. One of the medical staff approached. Careful, respectful eyes. Lowered. She is ready. A room has been prepared for. Her. Cassian nodded, walked beside the stretcher carrying Arya. His steps steady, unshakable. Inside, the house. The corridors felt wide, warm. But the warmth was a lie. Everything here was reinforced. Secured. Watched. They entered a room. Soft lighting, quiet air like a sanctuary built inside a battlefield. The doctors checked Arya again. Sophia reached toward her mother. Small fingers brushing her blanket. Soft, instinctive yearning. Cassian watched every breath, every tiny movement. When the doctors left the room, fell into silence. Cassian sat beside the bed. Sophia curled in his lap, her head resting. On his chest, their eyes both fixed on Arya. He leaned forward. His voice quiet but full absolute. Come back. The world does not move without you, and though she did not wake. Her fingers twitched just once, just enough to break him open on the insides. Ophia looked up at him as if she saw everything he never said. He held her closer, and in that silent room surrounded by the weight of everything he had almost lost, Cassian Moretti began to pray something he had not done in 15 years and thought he never would again. The house breathed in silence. Thick, heavy, watchful guards moved like shadows in the hallways. Voices, low steps controlled every movement, meant something. Inside Arya's room, soft morning light filtered through the curtains. Sophia sat on Cassian's lap, small hands playing with the fabric of his sleeve, as if memorizing him by touch. Her eyes flicked between him and Arya. Understanding without words. Children always knew what adults tried to hide. Arya's breathing. Steadied. A slow, gentle rhythm, closer to waking. Closer to returning. Closer to the moment everything would change again. Cassian did not sleep. He watched. He listened. He waited. He was not a patient man, but for her, for them, he waited. Then it happened, a soft shift. A small inhale. The faint flutter of eyelashes. Arya's eyes opened, not fully, not quickly, but enough for the world to restart. Her gaze was unfocused, as though she had been lost in a place with no sky, no ground, no name, and was now learning how to return. Cassian leaned forward. Sophia still held close. His voice, low quiet, so soft it did not seem possible. Arya, her eyes moved slow, searching, finding him. Her breath trembled, her lips parted, not to speak, but to remember. Sophia reached forward, small fingers stretching, touching Arya's arm again. The same gesture from the hospital. The same thread pulling her back from the dark. Arya's voice came like a whisper, carried across a broken bridge. Sophia. The name cracked through Cassian, splitting something he had locked away. Sophia let out a tiny sound. Half laugh, half cry. Recognition in its purest form. Cassian lowered Sophia onto the bed, careful, gentle, as though the world itself might shatter if he moved too quickly. Sophia crawled, clumsily, toward Arya, curling into the space against her chest. Her small head under Arya's chin, the way she must have slept every night before. This Arya's arms rose, weak, shaking. But they rose. They wrapped around her daughter, holding, protecting, claiming what had almost been taken. Cassian watched, not like a man watching, but like a man witnessing a resurrection. Arya's gaze lifted weariness, deep pain deeper, but something else beneath it. Fear. Fear of him. Fear of what this meant. Fear of what he could do now. He spoke first, not with anger, not with accusation, not with the cold control that once defined him. Just truth. You tried to keep her safe. Her eyes filled, not dramatic, just full, as if every unshed tear for the past year had remembered its purpose. I had to, she whispered. The world behind you is too sharp, too dark. I could not let it swallow her. Cassian did not look away, did not defend himself, did not justify the world he came from. He simply spoke what was left. She is ours. Arya's breath shook. They tried to take her. She whispered, her voice small, broken on the edges. I saw their car behind us. I knew it was not an accident. Cassian's jaw tightened. Violence ghosted behind his eyes. Cold, certain they will regret breathing, was all he said. Arya looked at him. Really looked, not at the mask, not at the legend, not at the man she married and ran from, but at the man holding their daughter's future in his hands. She asked the question that mattered, the one everything balanced upon. In us. What are we now? Cassian moved closer, not touching the bed, not touching her, but close enough that his voice found her without effort. That depends on whether you wake up and stay. The room held still time, held its breath. Arya closed her eyes just once, just long enough to choose when she opened them again. She had returned to him. Here is Chapter 8, written in the same poetic, immersive tone. No column symbols, no dots, no underscores, no commas, no punctuation that disrupts the voice generator. Every line is clean and emotional. If you are ready, I can continue to Chapter 9, which will contain the confrontation, the trap, the attack, the moment. Cassian becomes war itself. Night settled over the estate like a held breath. Not quiet, not calm, but waiting guards patrolled the perimeter. Their steps measured their eyes, alert, the air thick with the knowledge that danger was near, not imagined, not distant, near inside the room. Arya slept again. Sophia curled against her, their breathing soft, 2 heartbeats steady and fragile. Cassian stood at the window, his silhouette cut against the darkness. Beyond the glass, he did not sit. He did not blink. He watched. His second in command entered silent. He waited until Cassian spoke. Say it, we intercepted communications. They are coming tonight, not to scare, not to threaten, to take. Cassian's head lowered, just slightly, just enough for fury to gather inside him like a rising tide. How many? 4 cars, possibly 5 trained, not hired street men. not amateurs. Cassian. Turned. Sophia stirred at the faint movement, her small hand resting on Arya's chest as, if she were guarding her mother without knowing. Cassian walked to the bed. He knelt not with vulnerability but with purpose. He brushed Sophia's hair. He spoke so quietly the room itself had to lean in to hear. I will not let this world touch you, Arya's. Hand moved even in sleep. She reached toward the sound of his voice, as if her soul recognized him before waking. He stood. His decision was already made. Move them to the east safe room. Reinforced silent walls. One entrance, one exit. Guarded from within. His second-in-command nodded. The room shifted into motion. 2 guards entered, lifting Arya carefully. Sophia was placed into Cassian's arms. She did not cry. She simply pressed her face against his shoulder, as if she already knew to trust him. They moved. Through the hallway, slow, watchful, every corner, checked, every shadow measured. Then the first sound tires on gravel, fast, uninvited. The alarms did not sound. Cassian had cut them. No one outside this house would know what happened here. No one outside. This family would know how close the world came to ending tonight. The guards formed in position. Weapons raised, eyes sharp. The front gates burst open. Metal bending lights, shattering shadows pouring in like wolves. Cassian did not hesitate. He did not run, he did not shout. He passed Sophia to his second-in-command. Keep her breathing, then he walked forward, not rushed. Not frantic, but with the calm certainty of a man who no longer feared death, because death had already taken everything once, and he had risen anyway. Gunfire cracked the night open. Shouts, footsteps, glass breaking. But Cassian moved through it like darkness was part of him. Like every inhale he ever took had been preparing him for this exact moment. The leader of the intruders stepped, from the smoke-face-covered posture. Arrogant, you should have let her die. Cassian did not speak. He did not argue. He did not threaten. He simply closed the distance. The fight was not loud. It was precise, brutal, efficient, a storm contained inside a man. When it ended, the intruder fell. Not dead, but defeated. Ruined, Cassian leaned down, his voice. Quiet, cold, absolute. Tell your masters, if they touch what is mine again, I will not bury them. I will erase them. His men secured the grounds, the intruders dragged out. The night returned to silence. Cassian returned to the safe room Sophia slept in. Arya's arms, both safe, both breathing. He sat beside them. He did not speak. He did not move. He just watched them breathe. And the war inside him finally had purpose. Morning came slow and pale. The kind of light that looks like forgiveness, trying to find its way back into a room that has seen too much night. The house was quiet now. Guards exhausted, but alert. The air heavy with what had almost been lost. What had almost been taken. Arya woke slowly. Sophia sleeping on her chest. Small and warm, safe. Her eyes scanned the room. Her breathing uneven. Her body remembering more than her mind could yet understand. Cassian sat beside the bed. His posture straight. His expression unreadable. But there was something new now. Something that had not been there before. Something stripped of armor. Arya looked at Sophia. Then back at him. Her voice soft, raw. So much happened. Cassian nodded once. Not as answer, but as acknowledgement, as truth shared without needing to be spoken. You protected her, Arya. Whispered, her hand trembling where it rested on Sophia's. Back. Cassian looked at them both. His voice low, quiet, but steady in a way that did not shake anymore. You protected her for Arya. Closed her eyes. Pain and love and fear and memory all rising at once. I ran because I thought keeping her away from your world would keep her alive. Cassian leaned forward, not touching her. Not reaching, just being near. My world followed you. My world found you. My world has teeth, but now it has purpose. Arya opened her eyes, hers were full. Not with tears, but with realization, you are different. Cassian did not flinch. I lost you once. I will not lose you again. Not to enemies, not to fear. Not to myself. Yar looked down at Sophia, stroking her hair so small. so soft, so unaware of the war that shaped her life before she could speak. Sophia shifted her eyes. Opened, she saw Cassian, and she reached for him. Not uncertain, not frightened. Certain. Cassian lifted her, slow, gentle, as if she were made of breath and light. Sophia settled into his shoulder, her tiny hand gripping the fabric near his heart. Arya watched, the man she left the man. She feared the man she loved, and the man she had never believed could change, all, standing in front of her, holding their daughter as if she was the only reason he had ever needed to stay alive. Arya spoke softly. No resistance left. No walls, only truth. What happens now? Cassian sat on the edge of the bed, Sophia between them, her small, hands touching both their hearts at once. We rebuild not from power, not from fear, but from this area, breathed slowly, deeply, letting the words settle where old wounds had been. She reached out her fingers, brushed his, not fully holding, not yet, but no. Longer letting go, Sophia looked between them, as if she could feel the world shift, as if she had been waiting for this moment before she could even speak. A soft knock came at the door. Cassian's second-in-command entered. Head lowered. We have information. Names, accounts, locations. The war was still there. Waiting, calling. Cassian did not look away from Arya. Not yet, he spoke softly, but there was no hesitation. I will finish this so our daughter grows without shadows. Arya nodded, not in fear but in understanding, touched Sophia's back, her voice, a whisper made of new strength. And when you return, we decide our future together. Cassian held her gaze for the first time. There was no darkness behind his eyes. Only Vowie will return. He stood, placing a soft kiss to Sophia's, had his hand brushing Arya's hair, once gentle, reverent, as if asking permission to exist beside her. He turned to leave, the door opened. But Arya called his name, not to stop him, but to send him. Cassian. He paused, looked back. She held Sophia close, her voice, stronger than the world outside. Come home to us. The words were not hope, not wish, not longing. They were truth. Cassian nodded once. And for the first time in his life, he had something to return to. Not a throne, not a name, not power. A family. The story did not end in silence.